Pablo. What you want, yo? What we done started. Look at what we done started.
1, 2, 3 party people in the place to be. It's the BKMC Talib Kweli. We are live at the home of hip hop. This is where hip hop started, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. It's the 50th anniversary of hip hop. As you see, I'm here in mad different outfits. I'm the fanciest nigga in the Bronx right now. Right now, CL Smooth is performing on stage. I gotta love. That's my joint right there. But that's how we really outside. Some people say they outside. We really outside. And speaking of being outside, I'm outside with some of my favorite people in the world. Representing Detroit, Michigan, Motown. I am joined today not by one, but by two guests on People's Party. The first guest is one of my favorite people, absolutely one of my favorite singers, one of the most fantastic singers, songwriters, performers you're gonna see on stage. She is a true force. She bears a soul in her lyrics, in her albums. Her influences are Sam Cooke, Kurt Cobain. It goes all over the spectrum. She works with artists as diverse as Taylor Mack to myself. She has songs with Idris Elba. These Idris Elba joints are amazing, by the way. 4 independent EPs. She travels all over the world with Inner City, one of the greatest groups to ever do it. Released her highly anticipated first album, Is Complicated, back in March 2019 to rave reviews. You're gonna enjoy this one. She's joined by her very good friend and her partner in crime and partner in rhyme and partner in all that, an internationally renowned poet, playwright, performance artist, the CEO of More Black Press, the executive producer and creator, one of the creators of Black Women Rock, the founder of the Literacy Drive, the More Art House Foundation. She has given us many books, The Alphabet Verses, The Ghetto, God Is Not an American, Sunlight Through Bullet Holes, We Want Our Bodies Back. You've heard her record with myself, with Nas, with Common, with Jeezy, Kareem Riggins, Wordsworth. Her album, Black Tea, I put out on Javoti Media. This is one of my best friends on the planet, one of my favorite people. Give it up for Steffanie Christi'an. And Jessica Care Moore, make some noise on the People's Party.
What up, though?
She said, what up, though, in true Detroit fashion. That's how we start the interview. How y'all feeling?
Good. We in the boogie down. We hot.
You in the Boogie Down Bronx?
Yeah.
Looking fabulous.
Thank you, baby.
These boots are made for walking.
This for the boogie down today. You know, I put on a little pop of purple.
Hip hop is about style. Tell me about how, for both of you, because we are in the home of hip hop. This is amazing.
It's amazing.
50 years of hip hop.
Yeah.
We are in where hip hop started. I'm performing tonight. KRS-One, Slick Rick. Man, it's crazy. Grandmaster Flash.
Yeah. Legends.
Tell me about how your lives are inspired and impacted by hip hop music.
I'm a poet of the hip hop generation, so I grew up listening to Run DMC, MC Lyte, Queen Latifah. I was a little girl. Ralph McDaniels, Video Music Box. That when I was just entering college. But I wanted to be a rapper. I think first I was a poet, but I wanted to be a rapper because I thought that's what you're supposed to do with poetry. But the storytelling part of it and me as a poet and the way that I approach music and poetry, wanting to connect with audiences, that's hip hop. The call and response, that's hip hop. Me wanting to say something to the audience and the audience talk back to me. Me wanting to connect spiritually with the audience, that's hip hop. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what influenced me. I'm a poet of the hip hop generation. I'm an MC in my own right. I write lyrics. But KRS-One, who you mentioned, was one of my big influences in college. Like Beef, that song Beef, that's when I stopped eating beef.
Beef. What a relief.
Listen.
When will this poisonous product cease? You could believe it or you could doubt it. Beef is when I stopped eating beef as well.
I was 17.
I haven't had beef since I heard that song Beef.
KRS-One changed my life, changed my diet.
Well, I grew up definitely watching MTV, but I remember being mesmerized by watching hip hop.
Yes.
Like Jessica said, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Kwame was like my favorite.
I think his name is Kwame.
Was my
He was wearing polka
favorite.
dots?
I didn't have the polka dots, but I loved his hair with the blonde streak. I was very into that.
That was called the Nefertiti.
And my uncles were very much influenced by hip hop, and I followed them around, so I did get to listen to a lot of NWA and stuff like that.
We loved NWA in Detroit.
And even though rock and roll was what I was drawn to as a singer, I can't help but be influenced by hip hop because it's what I grew up on.
Now we are in the Boogie Down Bronx.
Yes.
And somebody who represented the Bronx to the fullest was Mums the Schemer. Rest in peace to Mums the Schemer, very important poet. You have been on this show before. And Mums has transitioned since, you know, shout out to Red Alert. We in the Bronx and Red Alert just walks by. You know what I'm saying? Mums has transitioned since the last time you was on the show. So speak to the impact and the legacy of our brother Mums the Schemer.
Mom's one of the best poets to ever do it. He was my New Eurekan Poetry Slam team member. I loved him dearly. I mean, beyond the poetry, he was just a good heart and a good spirit. And when I moved from Detroit to Brooklyn, he was one of the poets that represented the Bronx more than anybody else. You know, you had Willie Perdomo and Tony Medina. They definitely were Harlem, right? They were Afro-Rican. Then you have poets that were absolutely Brooklyn. But if you're gonna say who was a poet that represented the boogie down Bronx, Mums the Schemer, he was the voice of the Bronx. Man, I miss him so much.
And he was hip hop too.
He was so hip hop with it. It was undeniable, the influence, the flow of his voice, the radical way that us poets of the hip hop generation took on microphones, the way Mums would come and take on a stage, quiet a stage down. That's hip hop.
Yeah.
And I miss him, man. He's just one of the most beautiful men I've ever met in my life. He would walk me home from the Brooklyn Moon.
Word up.
He'd be like, don't tell nobody, I'm gonna walk you home.
Rest in peace to Mums,
Rest
man.
in peace to Mums, yeah.
Now, I feel like, obviously I've known Jessica, I've known you longer than I've known you, Steffanie. But for both of y'all, and I think this speaks to your relationship, I feel like I've known y'all my whole life. I can't remember a time when I didn't know y'all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So can you tell us, for both of y'all, how y'all met and what is this connection y'all have?
Me and Steph?
Yeah.
I know how we met.
Jessica was dating someone, my cousin.
Yeah, Ray.
And
Ray Stone.
Ray Stone. And Jessica just moved back from Atlanta, I believe.
Yeah.
And she was like, she told my cousin, I'm looking for a real dope black rock singer. And my cousin was like, I got you.
I got her.
But I already knew who you were. We just hadn't met before. I saw you on Apollo.
Okay.
I knew you had moved to New York. We hadn't met yet. But I came over to meet Jessica with my cousin, and we've been on and popping ever since. I think that was probably 2009, maybe.
Yeah, because I had worked with Alice Smith and Imani Azuri in New York. So I was looking for that in Detroit. I was like, who's that in Detroit? And I was like, oh, it's Steffanie. And she's a Scorpio.
And she's a Scorpio.
Yes.
Now y'all started this situation, this group, this project, We Are Scorpio, which I'm very excited about, obviously, because I'm involved in it somehow.
You know what?
Yeah, I mean,
put that record out.
I'm putting the record. I was going to get to it. But tell me about this because you and I put out an album that I love.
Beautiful album.
And it's very rhythm and blues and jazz, really hip hop.
Yep.
But this record is decidedly rock and roll.
Yes.
Detroit rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Black rock and roll.
That's right.
It's called We Are Scorpio. So tell me about what led y'all friendship to become this group situation.
Well, Black Women Rock happened.
Yeah.
So I've been producing Black Women Rock for 19 years. It's a empowerment concert weekend that transforms women, young girls. It's intergenerational lives. I support Black women who play rock and roll. So I knew when I brought the show back from Atlanta. I started at National Black Arts Festival 2004, brought it back to Detroit, and Steffanie was on my show. And Steffanie, since that moment, has been on every single show. And I won't do the show without her. I have new headliners every year. Stephanie's always a headliner.
Yeah. I came over to your house for some reason. Yeah. I just was on the porch because it was COVID.
Right.
And you were like, we've never recorded before because I had been performing
makes no sense.
with Jessica as her vocalist.
Is that how she said it?
Did I say it with that voice?
No.
Y'all hear the sexy voice?
I think I'm trying to cut through the music back there. Actually.
My voice is real
These mics
sexy.
are amazing. These are people's party mics.
It's people party mics. And we got Scorpio deep.
We do.
Our voices resonate.
Yeah, big Scorpio energy over here, just
So she was
emanating.
just like, let's record this rock album. I was like, okay. And then maybe a couple months later, we were in the studio, I think.
Yeah, and we had time to write. I mean, I was writing a lot of things during COVID, but that record, Steffanie was on my list because Black Tea was beautiful. Idea was on that record. Blue was on that record. Jose James on that record. Steffanie, how was she not on that record when I worked with her the most?
Right.
But I think the record I was trying to make when I made Black Tea was We Are Scorpio.
Right.
I was trying to make a rock and roll record and I wasn't liking the sound. And so me and John Dixon got together and made this beautiful jazz soul record. But what I was trying to make
was
a
We Are
rock and roll
Scorpio
record.
Right.
And if it don't sound right, it don't sound right. Wasn't that Fat Joe?
Yeah, it's Joey Crack.
What up, though?
Yeah, Fat Joe just walking by.
What up, Fat Joe? Yeah, he wanna say hi to us.
Yeah, he does.
So
Now, you mentioned Black Women Rock, so let's talk about Black
Yeah.
Women Rock for a second. Shout out to Kat Dyson.
my musical director, yeah.
Steffanie, one of my favorite qualities about Jessica, something she's very good at, is creating space and giving space
Absolutely.
for other artists.
Yeah.
It's one of her favorite things to do. It's something you know she's gonna do when she walks in a room. She's gonna be like, "Have you heard of this person?" And you're gonna be like, "No."
No,
and she's
right.
gonna be like, "But why not?"
Yeah.
No, and then she's gonna run down the person's whole resume
Yeah.
to the point where now you can't say you haven't heard of this
know
person,
that person.
right?
Yeah.
So now, Jessica does that for people all the time. I want to give you the chance to do that for Jessica, and particularly surrounding Black women's rock and what she's been able to do with that.
I mean, I speak for myself, but I know I speak for all of the women who are on this platform.
Don't make me cry.
I will try not to. Where I can speak for myself when I say that I don't know that I would be where I am as an artist had Jessica not put me on that first Black Women Rock show. And the ability to create this sisterhood has like changed all of our lives. But it's not just a professional relationship, and I'm so grateful that, there's no hubris, there's no ego. Like, we literally are all sisters, and I know that I wouldn't be the person that I am had I not met Jessica and been able to perform on this platform.
Okay, that's enough. I don't like.
Shout out to Divinity Rocks as well.
She's here. We
She's
couldn't get
here.
her in.
Yes.
She's here. We gotta go get her.
It's the Daughters of Betty.
Daughters of Betty. We have transitioned.
Yeah.
We are
It's
Daughters
a
of
crew
Betty.
now
Daughters of
Because
Betty
of-
is a crew.
because of Betty Davis.
Yeah.
Tell us why Betty Davis is important to music and how particularly Betty Davis as an artist has inspired and impacted the Daughters of Betty, which is your crew.
Oh, man, we all love Betty Davis. Betty Davis, a funk rock pioneer who was married to Miles Davis, where she was born Betty Mabry. She was everything that we are.
Right.
At a different time period. So she was a woman before her time. She influenced Miles Davis's music.
There would be no Bitches Brew without Betty
There
Davis.
would no be jazz fusion wouldn't exist
without Betty Davis.
She was down with Jimi Hendrix. She was down with Sly and the Family Stone. And what's really deep, Talib, because we lost her in 2022, but she was in touch with me. She sent me cards, letters. She's sent beautiful, huge
Jewelry.
photos.
I've seen some of this.
I have her personal earrings from her best friend that she wore, her turquoise, her favorite ring, her bracelet.
Y'all
And
really manifested this.
But I never asked to meet her. I think because all I wanted to do was honor her.
Yeah.
A lot of people groupie out on her. She has super fans around the world.
Yeah.
I just wanted her to know that we knew she existed.
We
that
were
I
giving
knew-
her flowers.
Giving her flowers while she was alive. For 19 years, she's been in touch with me. Sisterhood is hard for Black women who are beautiful and smart, well-read, well-traveled. It's not easy to find friends
Yeah.
that you trust. These women, man,
With my life.
I trust them
With
with,
my life.
everything.
With my
life.
Everything.
Yep.
It's bigger than the concert.
I enjoy it personally as a fan.
Thank you.
Whether I knew y'all or not, I would have enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was so glad you got to see it.
Yeah.
Because things when you're an independent artist like I am, and I've been, a lot of your even very famous friends. I remember when some of my friends see me for the first time, they think they know me, but then they see me live. and
Right.
Like, that's what you do?
Right.
That's what you do? I'm not gonna talk. I made some brothers, they be crying. They be crying. Brothers be crying.
up.
Watching
Word
me do
up.
my poems. Yeah, I believe in it. Yeah. I like making men cry.
I like it.
I want to say rest in peace to Tina Turner.
Yeah.
All right, now
feel
y'all
like-
gonna make us cry.
Now I'm really about to cry.
I feel like what y'all do was very much inspired by her. I want to give y'all a chance to speak about
Yeah,
Tina
we just
Turner.
did a tribute to her.
Black Women Rock this year, I mean, we always are celebrating Betty Davis, but I mean, we could not hold Black Women Rock this year without honoring Tina Turner.
Yes.
And I mean, we tore the house down. We had Melissa Vox singing Simply the Best. Yazara did these beautiful renditions of We Don't Need Another Hero.
Oh my God.
And
Kimberly
Nicole did River Deep Mountain High. And I led like a jam session of Proud Mary, and we
Because
just tore
Steffanie
it
had
up.
to lead it. That was my decision.
Of course.
Because,
Yeah.
well, if anybody's voice reminds me the most of Tina Turner, I must say.
She is my spiritual mother.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Inner City was a group that I grew up listening to, really enjoying their music, and that group kind of expanded my mind because I was a hip hop kid, but this Inner City music was accepted in hip hop spaces.
Yeah.
How did you end up working with them and then joining them and recording with them?
Inner City was celebrating their 30-year anniversary and wanted to do like a big show at Movement, the big electronic festival in Detroit. And they needed a vocalist, and my name was on the list.
Of course.
And I had to send in a little audition tape with me singing Big Fun and Good Life, and it's been on and popping ever since then. We did the show. We opened up for Wu-Tang Clan, and it was just...
See, like I said, hip-hop spaces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We opened up for Wu-Tang, and it was supposed to be that one show, and we gelled together so well. We've been on the road ever since. That was 2019. We've never stopped touring together. I'm a member of the group now.
Right.
Yeah.
You're amazing in that group.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I
I haven't seen you perform live with Inner
you
City,
gotta see it.
So
but the
good.
records, I like the records, a little bit of recording.
Yeah.
Good job done. Black women most definitely rock. So we're gonna do this video. I'm thinking about this video idea
Okay.
about having like found footage of rock and roll artists. But I know you and me spoke about it, and we want to focus heavily on female, particularly black female rock and roll artists, because I feel like this project is in the vein of trying to represent for that.
Yeah.
And I was ashamed to not know how overrepresented black women were in the start of rock and roll.
Oh, absolutely.
And black
Yeah.
women are
It's
overrepresented in certain categories in terms of like college degrees.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In certain other categories.
Right.
But I did not know that. And I knew that I make music for a living.
Right. You're
I
a
knew that
musicologist.
I knew that black people started rock and roll. I
Right.
know the origins is from the blues, but doing the research,
It's deep.
I didn't know there was so many other names for people who didn't have the notoriety. And I'm not gonna lie, I was ashamed that I didn't know that, because I felt like I should have known that. And especially now that this project, me working with this project, putting it out with y'all through Javoti, is opening my eyes. Once again, this is why I love working with you.
I love you.
Because I love you too. Because I would not have even started to do that research.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking marketing and promo, right? I'm thinking we got to get this project out. How can I sell this project?
Right.
We need to create a video. How can I be creative with the video? And that led me to doing research that I didn't know I needed to do. I want to thank y'all for that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I mean, Bessie Smith is in that.
Right.
lineup.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It goes back. It's deep.
Ma Rainey, Bessie Smith.
Ma Rainey.
Yeah.
I mean, without black women's voices, rock and roll wouldn't exist. And let me tell you who does know this. White rock and roll men.
Exactly.
Ask the Rolling Stones.
Ask Led Zeppelin.
They know.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard them, and I believe y'all, and I know they know, but I've heard them shout out the Muddy Waters and the BB Kings. I've heard them shout out the men.
Backsand.
I don't
Robert
know.
Johnson.
I haven't heard too much.
About the women.
Yeah.
The women.
Yeah.
Well, that's a problem in the industry.
Right.
That's the problem in general. So we appreciate you.
Yes.
Because it's a very, this record, it's a very feminine charged record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of women, my daughter is very active as an artist,
Love her.
and she's a very amazing artist. I think of her as a rock and roll artist because she plays guitar, she sings, and she's just she's genreless. Like she does whatever she wants.
Yes.
But she's my daughter,
Yeah,
and
watching her grow.
I'm biased, right?
I'm biased too.
But she's really dope.
Yeah,
she's
she
on my
is.
new records. But beyond my daughter being dope, it's safe to say that the women are absolutely killing it in the hip hop space.
We are killing it in the hip hop.
Yeah.
I mean,
Killing it.
just
Listen.
On all the necks.
Just-
Yes.
On everybody neck.
We're killing it.
and it's triggering a lot of people. I love
Megan
to see it.
Stallion, Cardi,
I love to see it.
Ciroc.
What-
Listen, Ladybug Mecca.
Yep.
Listen, Ladybug Mecca's still killing it.
Yep.
She is.
She is.
What?
What do y'all attribute this sort of trend to, and how can we make it so that it's not so much a trend, so that we just see more equality in the music? Like not how can we make it, what can men do
Can I tell you?
in service to make it more equal?
We need more Talib Kweli's.
Yeah.
And let me say this, because like I was just in Napa Valley. The only reason why I was on the show at Blue Note Festival is because you made space.
Right.
And that space was really important because there were people in that audience who knew me.
And who needed to hear
Who
that? I
cried.
saw the responses.
People were crying, man. Like, so men need to know when you're booking festivals and shit. There were no women musicians on that festival.
Yeah.
I didn't see one the whole weekend playing an
Mary,
instrument.
no musicians, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there's the black women musicians, along with hip hop artists, are always pushing down the door. So if you see us killing it, it's because we have literally been killing it,
Hard, yeah.
murdering spaces and pushing down doors and crying. It's hard for us.
Yeah.
It was hard for me that weekend that I was just with you. If only not for you, I would have not felt comfortable.
And
like, really, it's real like that.
Yeah.
It's real like that
and
for us.
And
still.
it translates into me being a black woman and singing rock and roll. Like, people don't know what to do with me.
Right.
And I've heard that my whole career.
And it's black music that started
Exactly.
with black women.
Exactly.
We're making space and we're taking it.
And that's why we're like, we got to do it ourselves. And that's what I love about Jessica. Just like, oh, they did what? Never mind, we'll do it. We'll do
Right.
it. We'll do it ourselves. We'll do it ourselves.
We create our own festivals.
Yep.
But that's what brothers like, and I've said this to you before, and I don't know, it's a touchy thing. Like when Kendrick came, I was like, God, I wish he would have put The Essence on or Miss Corona. Like, there's so many black women MCs in Detroit that don't get the same light that a New York MC would get because it's in Detroit.
Right.
So we're also in a city where people are not, we don't have an industry there. We create industry. So it's the men who have the stages have to do what I do with Black Women Rock.
Right.
I'm not Mary J. Blige. I'm Jessica Cameron. I'm a fucking poet. But I'm putting on rock artists
Right.
because I see the void. So we gotta be
Right.
void fillers, and we gotta care about the culture in a way that doesn't have. It's not just about you and your friends.
Right.
It's about who isn't getting the looks, who isn't getting the
Exactly.
nods. Let me
Yep.
get this person.
Right.
And your daughter is one of them. I watched your daughter come up. She didn't even want your help. I remember.
Yeah.
Deanna
She did
didn't
it on
want
her
your
own.
help. She didn't want it.
She did it on her
Until
own.
she was like, okay, now I'm doing it. Now, Dad, all right, step
It's
in.
a mutual respect.
Right.
She's on my record because that record called for her to be on it.
Right.
Not because she's my daughter.
No, it's real. Like, I was emotional after I left Napa. I know, I was. It means a lot. It ain't no, and it was just a verse. But FBI Crockett saw me do it.
Shout out to Afion.
Shout out to FBI Crockett. Happy birthday. It's his birthday today.
Oh yeah, Afion Crockett turned 50 the same
He
time
turned 50.
as hip hop turned 50, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
He's
And look at
tall.
what 50 look like.
50 look good.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
love me talking about FBI Crockett because I'm a fan.
No
No, but
doubt.
he's a genius. He's so multifaceted.
Yeah.
And
No
so is
doubt.
hip hop. Hip hop
Right.
is interdisciplinary. Hip hop is dancers and painters and
It's
poets
beautiful.
and all
As
that shit.
we talking about hip hop, Fat Joe is on stage
Joe's
performing
on
Flow
stage.
Joe. Chuck D from Public Enemy
where's he at?
is
What's
right
that?
there walking
Oh,
by.
tell Chuck to come here.
That's
Where's
Special
Chuck?
K and Teddy Ted,
I was just with
the
Girl
Awesome
Griff.
2 from WHBI,
All
one of the
right.
first hip hop
Hey, Chuck.
DJs, hip hop radio
What up,
stations.
Chuck?
It's a beautiful
All
thing.
right,
We
Chuck
have
is family.
1520
Oh, yeah,
Sedgwick
we performed
50-year anniversary. That's Flavor Flav right over there.
What up, though, Flavor Flav?
From Public Enemy.
Chuck is my heart. I was just
Flavor
with
Flav
Griff.
is in the house. We are really in the Bronx for real.
We're in the Bronx for real. Chuck love me.
That's great, nice,
Chuck,
and nice
Chuck
and
D
smooth.
caught in my butt. He blurred my butt.
Now, y'all from Detroit.
From the team. Jay Dilla.
Yeah.
Greg Nice, what's up,
Big
bro?
proof.
You gotta come do my podcast.
Slum Village, stand up. Big proof.
No doubt, no
Rest
doubt.
in peace to By 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, rest in peace to Bot 10, rest in peace to
Rest in
Jay
peace,
Dilla.
Big Proof.
Rest in peace to Big Proof. Shout out to Sada Baby.
Shout
because
out to Sada Baby.
Sada Baby is
It's on
on
the record.
the record. I'm from Detroit.
Dun, 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 dun.
Real heavy rock and roll vibes.
Yeah.
Tell me about the I'm from Detroit record and working with Sada Baby.
You know what's funny? I wrote I'm from Detroit, the lyrics, when I was living in Atlanta. Now, it was always, you know what's funny though? Kamal, Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest, came up to me when I was living in New York, and he would say something to me, and I'd be like, yeah, because I'm from Detroit. He said, yo, you should make a song called I'm from Detroit. Because every time I ask you something.
So wait, that's Q-Tip?
Q-Tip.
Inspiration? I didn't know that.
Q-Tip said, you should just make a song called I'm from Detroit. Because every time I ask you something, you be like, yeah, man, I'm from Detroit.
It's always the right answer.
Yeah, it's always the right
always the right answer.
It's not the place you have to always be your whole life, but it's a great place to be from.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a great place to be
Absolutely.
from.
Peace, peace, peace. Pete
Yeah.
Rock in the house.
Happy Rock in the house with the pink. I
We
want a
uptown with
hard
Pete
check.
Rock.
What up,
You know what I'm
Doug?
saying? People's Party alumni.
What up, Doug?
How you doing, bro?
You can interrupt us. Jessica, how you doing, darling? Nice to see
What up,
you.
Pete? How you feeling?
I like that pink. That's hot.
We should.
He's
Come
whispering
on,
something.
come on.
It's
Come on,
top secret.
come on. Let's do it.
But rock and roll is like, you know, Detroit is definitely like a rock and roll city. So
Absolutely.
And I went to school with white kids. I was listening to like AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven was like the song.
Exactly. My mom had me at 15, and she grew up in the suburbs, and she was a punk rocker. I have pictures of my mother with a purple mohawk and safety pins in her ears, and
She still has them.
And she's still badass.
What do you think it is about Detroit that creates this unique stew where it's innovative in rock with like the Stooges and MC5 and
Yes.
innovative in techno and innovative in black music with like Motown and like it's like the musical.
We create cars. It's the energy of Detroit. We're just innovators.
And we're industrial.
Exactly.
Okay.
My daddy wore a hard hat every day.
Right.
Construction worker. He would lay cement. You know, I didn't come with no poetic artsy-fartsy house.
Right.
We didn't even come up in like necessarily Marcus Garvey type houses.
Right.
It was so black, like black was in the water, was in the food.
And Detroit is black.
We're blackly black.
It's black, yeah. So black.
Hey, what's the percentage of black people in Detroit?
Right now, where they're coming for us, it's about 85.
Yeah.
They coming for us? Not they coming for us.
They coming. They're coming for us. It used to be in the 90s.
Yeah. Right.
We were like 90,
Yeah,
when we were
wow.
growing up, it was like high 95% black.
Yeah.
You see white people be like, oh, it's some white people.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, white people. Yeah, they're here.
All right, I get it.
They're here. We shout out to white people in Detroit. And actually, if they're gonna be around white people, the white people in Detroit are the coolest white people in the country.
Yeah.
Because they come from working class environments.
Now, I'm also a great MC, and I am a super duper MC.
Yes. He's a super
And I'm
duper
on a
star.
song on this new album I'm proud to be on called Super Duper Star.
Yeah.
We went to Puerto Rico, San Juan, and Culebra
Yeah.
to film the video.
We had fun.
We had fun.
We did.
Thank you for having me on that song.
Yeah.
It's a fun
Thank
song.
you.
And the song is like, you know, it's about what happens in the industry. It happens where like people lose their mind just a little bit.
Just a little.
You know,
Yeah.
get a little taste of fame.
Yeah.
But it's always like, you know, your friends like us who bring you back to yourself
Right.
and remind you of who
We
you are.
ground you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what the song's about. It's about that groundedness that you need.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Speaking of groundedness, I want to quote something that you said and get your take on it.
Uh-oh.
Art is not a luxury, but a responsibility.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But for the people watching and listening, can you expand on this idea and its significance today in today's socio-political climate?
Oh, we ain't got time for dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not a lot of time for. Like, I watch like little silly TV shows sometimes just to get my brain out of seriousness.
Right.
But right now, if you're an artist right now, watching what happened to George Floyd, what happened to Sandra Bland. Like my book, We Want Our Bodies Back, the whole book is dedicated to Sandra Bland and what happened to that sister. Because I'm Sandra Bland, that's Sandra Bland.
Right.
I'm traumatized by police pulling me over. And so if we're not talking about, you know, revolution in some way, and I'm talking about revolutionary things are also just self-love, loving ourselves, loving our culture.
The art should always reflect the culture.
The art should reflect the culture. And we also are culture creators, so what we put out matters.
Right.
There's young girls listening to me, and I'm an adult. I do adult music. I have a children's book coming out. My first children's book is coming out in 2024. But most of my work is definitely geared towards young adults and older. And I understand that I personally feel responsible. If you don't feel responsible as an artist, and then you feel like you could just put out any garbage, I don't think we have time for that.
Right.
Personally.
I agree.
You know, I can make a fun record. Like Super Duper Star's a fun record.
But
It
it's
is
still
fun.
saying something.
But it's
very
still
deep.
But it's still saying something, though.
Yeah, it's not time for the okie doke, you know, and I like songs that make me feel good and warm inside. I listen to like love songs and I like love, but you know, when it comes to this work, and my work is a calling. Poetry is a calling, and it's not red. Roses are red, violets and blue. I'm a Sonia Sanchez poet. I'm an Amiri Baraka poet.
Shout out to Sonia Sanchez.
Man.
Friend of the family, friend of the show, People's Party.
I love her so much, man. She's, I think, 89 on September 9th. She's 89 this year. She was born, I birthed my son on Sonia Sanchez's birthday.
Yeah, that's
I
fam.
planned it.
Yeah.
So now,
What up, though?
shout out to Busy B in the house. What up, Busy B? You gonna come say what's up to your folks? How you
That's
feeling?
love.
Chief Rocker.
That's
Just peace, love, unity, and having fun.
That's right. That's
No
what
doubt,
it
no
is.
doubt.
We know this.
Chief Rocker.
Yes, Chief Rocker.
Now, you have also added filmmaker to your resume.
I have.
Independent filmmaker.
Yes, yep. Executive producer.
He looks like
writer.
a postcard.
Yeah.
Tell me about this film and its creation and where you're at with it.
I started writing that script about 10 years ago during COVID. I had a little time on my hands, and I went in and I wrote this script. I sent it to my friend Qasim Basir, director that's worked with. Shout out to Qasim Basir from Detroit. He'd done Muslim. He'd worked with Amari Hardwick, Megan Good, lots of folks. And I was like, wanted some feedback. So I'm just my friend, who's a director in LA. And he's like, I love the script. I love the character. I love the whole thing. I want to direct it. Do you know a producer? And I was like, what? Fast forward the next day, you know, I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do it. I'll find a producer because I like to produce things. I like to create culture. I'll find a producer. I found a producer. I was doing what Hollywood would do for me at this age as a black woman.
Yeah.
And I was writing myself, aging myself out of my own story.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And then Qasim let me have it for 24 hours. And I called him and I was like, yo, you're the director. Would you cast me in the film? Or you think I want to be in a movie? He's like, you have to do the movie.
Yeah.
It's your story, do the movie. So I'm doing the movie. So I'm starring in the movie with Tobias Trevelyan, who's a very seasoned actor.
Yes.
Shout out to
He's
Tobias.
very good.
He's
a very talented
good.
young man.
Yeah.
So we casted Tobias because I put on Instagram, who's my leading man, y'all? And people said Idris Elba, you know, of course. And then Tobias just kept coming up. Everyone was tagging Tobias. I was like, who's Tobias? And I said, Cousin, you know this brother named Tobias? So he reached out to him. He knew him. We talked to him. It was a Zoom call.
That's an amazing story.
It was amazing to meet him.
You know, I know you well, and I know Tobias.
I didn't know him.
We follow each other on Instagram. Well, I know him
Yeah.
to that degree.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that's how that happened, but
how
that's
that
amazing,
happened.
actually.
And he hadn't read the script.
Yeah.
He knew who I was. So we were on a Zoom call, and he said, whatever this energy is, I want to be a part of it, Jessica. And I was like, it's on. So our friend Donnell Rawlings is in the film.
Yep.
I casted Donnell Rawlings. I did a lot of casting. I casted Nicole Gilbert, Nikki Gilbert from Brownstone. I went to high school, Cody High School with her, and I had to cast someone, Serendipity is the character, I had to cast someone as Serendipity's best friend.
That is very serendipitous.
It was very serendipitous, and I knew she had the chops because we were like Truth Days Art together. We did drama together in high school, and Nikki's a very talented singer. She's also a very talented actress, and she killed the role as Chuck. She played my best friend.
Yeah.
So it's about a poet based on my own life, coming home with her son. My nephew Jaden plays my son.
Aw.
He's 8 years old at the
Jaden.
time. And we come home and she's trying to find her voice. She's leaving a relationship, trying to figure out how to make a living as an artist and a writer. And she meets postcards put under her door, and this magical postcard comes to life. And Tobias is the artist. So it's a poet and painter fall in love. But it's really a self-love story. It's not even about the story between Motown and Serendipity. It's about how she finds her voice again. It's beautiful. I'm excited. It's in post. I'm in post. I'm almost at picture lock. I know those words now. I raised $450,000 by myself with about 10 people. I raised all the money.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could raise money. And I just asked, I was in San Francisco sitting on my cousin's house, and Angie's house. My boy Lasana was sitting there, just like I'm talking to you. And I said, I got this film. He said, you wrote it? I said, I wrote it. I said, yeah, I'm looking for some investors. He was like, okay. He said, you wrote the film. I said, I wrote it, Lasana, what's up? He said, I got $150,000. I was like, what are you talking about? This is my friend who I know from academia, who's brought me to colleges, Skyline College, Arizona State University. He's been booking me for colleges for like 10 years. He's like, no, I want to invest in something. Something else just fell through. I want to invest in you. So what I learned is that people didn't invest in my film. They actually invested in me.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on getting their money back.
You got to.
And it's coming. So he looked like a postcard. Look for it. Tobias Trevelyan, Donnie Rollins.
That's amazing to see
That's
how much love Fat Joe gets in the Bronx.
We love you, Fat Joe. Detroit loves you too, baby.
Bronx pandemonium.
Oh, Lord, I'm
There go
excited.
Ify.
Yeah, we just talked you up. We just talked you up, bro.
How you doing?
Come on, man.
boy.
Let's do this every week. We just had a whole thing about your birthday just now.
Scorpios have that power to create Leos. I make lions.
I appreciate y'all always showing us love. You know we family.
What up, Steph?
I'm chilling. How you feeling?
This is Seth Bird. Y'all been seeing him
On my phone.
in the audience at the Blue Note talking shit.
I make API show up.
So what is the plan for We Are Scorpio? What does the audience for We Are Scorpio need to know about what to expect from this album, this rollout, all of that?
It's a lot. So I'm gonna speak to my verses. I'm very proud of the
Talk that
verses
shit.
that I
Talk your
motherfucking
shit,
wrote.
Jessica.
Let me just say
Talk
this.
that
Let me
shit.
say shit. I'm coming for you motherfuckers, because let me say this. I love hip hop music.
Right.
I'm here for
Big
the
Scorpio
lyricists.
energy.
I'm here for KRS. I love you, Nas. I love Talib. I got big Scorpio energy, but there is something missing with the women's voices in hip hop still, and I'm hoping to really.
Bridge that gap.
No, I'm coming for some heads. I'm coming for some heads.
I will say this, as a
here.
lyricist, so
Yeah.
you and me have talked a lot about poetry versus MCing.
Yeah.
And we spent time in the studio going back and forth about, like, we spent time talking about
Yes.
this. And I will say this, when I listen to the album, you got bars. And it's like, it's some lyrical
Yeah,
MC
absolutely.
shit. It's some MC shit
Yes.
happening on this rock and roll
Yes.
album. I'll just say that.
But what I needed was the sauce, and the sauce is this.
I'm coming to bring
That's
this
right.
on.
Steffanie is bringing all the fucking rock and roll to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's
I'm big
It's
rock and
hard,
roll
it's
energy
hard.
all day.
it's like punk rock poetry.
Yes.
Yes, I told Nas, rock and roll nigga was supposed to be the title, but everybody can't say rock and roll nigga because then we gonna beat up people for saying rock and roll nigga. So we're like, but that was my nod to Patti Smith, and I'm a Patti Smith fan. And everyone didn't like that she did that song. She did that song, I think, in homage to Jimi Hendrix.
My Uncle Stanley, rest in peace, he used to take photographs of Patti Smith. He used to document the punk scene back in the day, yeah.
So did Lenny Sinclair. But I think that what it is that like you're getting double hit with lyrics and rock and roll energy. And it's I don't know, it's black, it's feminine, it's political. Definitely compared it to Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
That kind of energy.
Tom Morello is another rock and roll nigga.
Tom Morello, Zach De La Rocha.
Zach is an honorary rock and roll N-word.
We'll take him, but Tom Morello. Tom Morello for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
And we love Rage. And so we just want some of that kind of energy.
Yeah.
And me and Steffanie, we want to jump into some mosh
pits and
I love
We're
Jessica.
here for that.
I swear to God, I love Jessica.
Why you love it?
I love it because Jessica is so cold in the deep, but you have a warm heart.
No doubt.
Don't make me do my genie shit. So we're proud of the record. I mean, Jim Crow is a serious song about colorism that's on the record that you gave great feedback on that song, and I think helped us create it. We're talking because we're yellow black women, and colorism is a big thing.
It's a real
thing. And I'm the blackest black woman you know. I know you know.
I know.
You're familiar with this term. And so
I know about colorism.
I'm taking it on. You know what I mean? Because I grew up so black in Detroit, and I've been to places like South Africa. And I know what apartheid does to our people. So I don't play those games. I don't play light-skinned games.
No.
We don't have time for that. Rock and Roll Nigga is the song of the album is one of my favorite songs on the record. I mentioned Amiri Baraka in that piece. But there's it's a sexy record too.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's sexy.
It is sexy.
Yeah.
It's sexy. Yeah.
And it feels good.
Scorpio sexy. Shout out to Militia Vox.
Yes.
She's one of the few black women in heavy metal. And We Are Scorpio. I'm October 28th. Peace and love.
November 2nd.
How you doing, gorgeous?
Not telling.
Oh, November what? November 2nd, not telling?
Not telling.
We're Scorpios.
Well,
So is Pharoah Monch. Shout out to Pharoah Monch. We
shout
let
out
him
to
hear the
Pharoah
song.
Monch, and
Pharoah Monch
shout out
said,
to Daru.
I love Daru
and
Jones.
Marcus, and shout out to We Are 13 group. And
They're gangster.
Man, I just
That energy.
Yeah.
But with some women involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love 13. And Pharoah Monch was one of my influences in writing my album. I was listening to
the
13.
bars.
The bars. I was listening to Pharoah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I love him.
God bless y'all.
I love you. Thank you for supporting the
Thank
record.
you.
I
Thank
love
you.
you so much.
I'm excited to put it out.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steffanie Christi'an, Jessica Cairmore.
We are Scorpio.
They are
Scorpio.
motherfucking Scorpio. People's Party. Peace.
Rock and roll nigga, where you from? Rock and roll nigga, we on the run. Rock and roll nigga, come get me some. Rock and roll nigga, Grace got your gun. Like to borrow it for a day? Would you like to raise your sunny rooms with the walls closing away? I threw up indifference just to make sure I was still human. I took a pill to ease the pain. I wake up like this. I wake up, I feel so beautiful. Rock and roll nigga, I was born in this skin. I'm as human as the day is long. I'm human to this bitter end. Rock and roll nigga, I'm so in vogue in French. All the Frenchmen offer wine and love. Unapologetically black. There is no color here. There is no color here. There is no color here. Rock and roll nigga, where you from? Rock and roll nigga, we on the run. Rock and roll nigga, raise out your gun. Rock and roll nigga, your microphone. My skin translated and misunderstood in several different tongues. Rock and roll nigga, Baraka asked me, poet, where you from? I pulled off my skin this morning, still exhausted from the night in the future. I write this wrong, I write it all the time. No man gon' ever love me, not the way I engulf air, exhume the dead, the way truth is always swimming beneath the blue locks of my hair. Rock and roll nigga, your royalty, your highness, your goddess, your Afro-punk, your queendom come. Rock and roll nigga, I see you over there living among pedestrian ruins. You can't hide beneath the black. Rock and roll nigga, your skin touched by the most high. One day we shall return, one day we shall return. Take it all back, demand some back pay. I pulled off my skin this morning. Would you like to borrow it for a day? For a day. Rock and roll nigga, where you from? Rock and roll nigga, we on the run. Rock and roll nigga, breathe out your gun. Rock and roll nigga, you never fun. Rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll nigga. Rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll.